Look, I got my topper back. Hey, what's going on everyone? Hunter with Rebel Outdoors, and today we're gonna kind of take a look at some changes I'll be making now that I have my new topper back on the truck. So for those of you who don't know, I have this very beautiful custom-made all aluminum topper by my buddy Jeremy over at Holland Overland, and I'm not gonna do like a full in-depth tour, if you will. I'll put that little card up there for you guys, but I am going to be making some changes the last time I had this on, and I want to kind of go through some of those things with you. Maybe get some ideas, who knows. So we'll start with some of the lighting. So you can see up there is kind of like where a scene light goes, and then in the rear over here is where chase lights go. So if you also don't know, recently I've completely swapped out all the lights on the truck. I got rid of all the Baja lights, and I'm currently working on putting Heretic Studios lights on the truck. So they do make something that is similar to the Baja Designs S2, and I will be doing amber flood patterns for both the scene lights and as well as the chase lights. And then this little slot right here is basically for different attachment points. But with me living here in Michigan, it gets pretty cold in the winter, and I still like to go out camping. So hopefully I'll be putting a diesel heater in the truck sometime soon. So if you open up the passenger side, you can see the inside of the topper here. So you can see I have these extrusion bars up on top that help with support, as well as you can kind of see some little holes there that rooftop tent will get mounted to once I do get that. But so I have these Moly panels from Icky Concepts. I had a complete set of them, but I did remove both the driver and passenger side because I do plan to put a deck system in here eventually. So one of the reasons why is you can see, like, even though I'm 6 foot tall, having to reach in here to grab stuff, especially if it's like on the ground, is kind of like a real pain. So that'll be able to move everything up, as well as being able to put like a fridge and stuff over here. But that little box right there is my power system, and I'm going to be talking about that soon. But basically the battery is going to be mounted in a somewhat similar fashion in that corner underneath this big cubby, which we'll go to here in a little bit. But next to that will be the diesel heater. We'll get mounted over there, and then a couple other little things eventually, maybe like a water tank over on this side, or air system, something like that. Before, I did have like fishing rods and axe shovel, that kind of stuff up there. I've been thinking about probably just putting those back up here, you know, because that worked out pretty well for me. So get stuff out of the way. I have thought about putting some kind of like quick fist on the side of this to either put the axe and shovel exterior mounted. I do like them kind of interior, so that way they're out of the way of people's prying little hands. But I was also thinking about maybe moving the traction boards. Don't know, but probably just leave it clean. So I did wire up the RTLS, however I'm currently having an issue where everything's working, it's just all the lights are super dim for some reason. So I don't know if I'm using the right connections or if it's too dull or what, but not a whole lot going in the back other than that. So as I mentioned before, some of the different ports for here will probably be like the exhaust for the diesel heater, and then all the other hookups will probably be on the other side, because the new rooftop tent I'm going to get will have a diesel heater port on this side up here. So this driver side is where I have all of my tools and recovery gear. So if you remember, I mentioned earlier in the video, my power system is right on the other side of this, and in there is a 1000-watt inverter. So what I would like to do is take that and the solar controller out and then hard mount them to this wall, so that way I can plug things in. Over on this side, it does have in this corner and in this corner a little port for like cords and stuff to go on. You can see there, but just that way, if I'm charging camera batteries, drone batteries, whatever, you know, they have kind of their own designated space. And then I was thinking about, depending on how much room I have for these little Milwaukee wall panels, they have like just a single piece like this. I was thinking about putting another thing like that up here so I could take my straps and kind of run them vertically. You can see I got like shackles and stuff hanging up, and usually have like some impacts and wrench, all that kind of fun stuff here. But yeah, got to add a couple more things. So while I do have my traction boards on my swing outs, and it does work pretty well, I have kind of thought about putting them on this side, just because this is, again, where all my tools and recovery are. I don't know if the struts would be enough to hold it, but in all honesty, I'll probably just leave it there. You know, just because it's already got a home. I do like to utilize this pack out system because I do have a whole bunch of Milwaukee stuff, and I have like a little pack out wall in my garage. But yeah, I think another one of those little panels will work there pretty well. Then you can also add some like small quick fists up here to hold some other stuff, which I will definitely end up doing. So I did mention about getting a deck system in here. You can see I removed those two panels on either side. Just so, again, I have a raised platform. When I had the other Skinny Guy camper on, that bin was like recovery gear, and that one was strictly all tools. So now that I got my cubby back, I can kind of mitigate those and pretty much have room for extra stuff. I usually utilize these pack out bins for like kitchen miscellaneous stuff like that. So I think the new and improved deck system would be nice, so that way I have kind of like a dedicated space for all that stuff, so I don't forget anything when I go on other trips, and then that way it'll raise up, so when I do decide to like throw things on there, they'll be much easier to get to via that side, so I don't have to use this step stool. So on the other side of this cubby here, you can see are kind of the little bolts and stuff I have for the different pack out panels in there. So what I was thinking about doing was kind of with that running a couple pieces of extrusion that way, so that way I could mount like some quick fists or any other kind of things. But again, there's a ton of stuff up here just because of how high up the truck sits. I don't really want to put too much stuff up there, any heavier stuff, you know, but you know, stuff like fishing rods that don't really weigh a whole lot. So one thing I did forget to mention is, if you can see a little port there, the Rams have a little cargo view right there, so that does work through the back of the topper. But that little hole right there is actually a camera for the little rear view mirror camera thing. So obviously it doesn't work with the topper, but I wanted to get a new kind of camera like that and then add it kind of like right back there, or perhaps somewhere on the swing out where, you know, maybe like right here or something, so that way I can just kind of see behind me. I also have to redo the rear tire or rear camera, because this is where the rear 360 camera is, and I'm sure you can imagine that kind of blocks the way. So speaking of rooftop tents, the one that I've been looking at pretty hardcore for a while now is the 4x4 Colorado Alto Elite. So it's like a big hard shell, clam shell style, I guess. So basically I like having my ladder on the driver's side here, so the tent will kind of pop up like this and the rest of the tent folds out, kind of like an iCamper style. But yeah, that's definitely going to be coming soon. And then on the other side here, eventually we will get a bracket made, probably by Jeremy, so that way I can put a big 180 awning on this side, so that way, you know, like over here, the nice thing about this is I want to do like all my kitchen stuff over here, so that way it can stay out of the weather. Well, that is going to wrap up this video, guys. I'm super happy to have the topper back on the truck. I've missed this thing, and I'm really looking forward to the new setup, I guess, once I kind of incorporate all the things that I discussed about. If there are any ideas that you guys have, please, by all means, leave them in the comments down below. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you get notified when I post videos every week. And as always, we'll catch you guys in the next one.